Welcome to the council meeting, first one of September. After a busy summer for everyone, welcome back. So first item would be adoption of the agenda.
Move.
Adoption, all in favor? Motion's carried. The delegations this evening, we do have minutes for approval, August 17th.
Move.
Second. Approval, all in favor? Motion's carried. Management report for receipts.
So moved.
Second.
Receipt. On receipt, that all those in favor? Motion's carried. Anything on the management report anyone wants an update on? It's relatively straightforward. All right, so seeing no items there. For adoption, then we have bylaw for the permissive tax exemption.
Move adoption.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. See, we did that in the absence of our director of finance. Although I see maybe we have a new one over there. It was tougher than the last time.
You're not going to get any fire.
No raising allowance. All right, forward to new business, and this is Councillor Arnott, so I'll turn it to you to make the motion.
Yes, the motion that I would like to have is that staff be directed to review options for, and actually this could have been a typo here, but it was to provide options for the provision of parking on one side of Beckton Avenue between Knoll Avenue and the west through to Forester Avenue on the east and south.
So to provide, not to review.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now,
Sorry, you're saying between Knoll on the west through to Forester?
parking on one side of Beckton Avenue between Knoll Avenue on the west through to Forester Avenue on the east. So where it turns, as you're going on Beckton, you turn right, kind of turns into Beckton.
So is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that, but I'm not sure what he changed there. Can you
Well,
just read that verbatim?
Yeah, well, to provide options.
Oh,
I'm not looking for a staff report on this. I think this has been hashed around through the emails that we've received, I've received, talking to staff about this. I think to me, it's pretty straightforward, and I'm looking at options that the staff would come up to allow parking there. I'm not looking for another month-long wait for a staff report on this. I think it's pretty straightforward to me that they need to have parking in that area, and what side do they want to leave it on? Do they want to put it on the north side, the south side? That's what I'm looking for on this. Just want to expedite the process.
So your motion is that staff be directed to provide options for the previous second.
Yes.
Okay. So that's been moved and seconded. Now we discuss. Councillor Arnott said, Councillor Beck.
Well, I used to live down in that neighborhood, and I can't really remember. They had parking at some point there. And there was times where it would get difficult for cars to come in and out. So, I'm open to seeing the options, and one option that I thought might work is right as you come around the bend, if you left about 4 spaces on either side. Because it was when you were turning the corner and somebody was coming that way that it was usually problematic. There isn't a perfect solution here. And then the other issue that I would see would be if you have cars parked and you have somebody coming up and you have an emergency vehicle trying to go down there. I've lived through that, so I know a little bit about that area. So, I'm open to seeing the options and seeing what we could do, and I get that people would, want to be able to park out there. It's a problem that you can't, but it's not. I wouldn't call it as straightforward as what you're saying. There was some issues there.
Okay, so Councillor Price and Brown.
Yes, and I'd certainly like to see some options, and I'm not quite sure if it's not in a staff report, how do they come forward? Do they, or when are those options presented, or are we just saying to staff, go ahead and do something? That's why I'm not quite clear about.
I think that's what his intention was, but let's see. We'll speak to that.
That's the way I interpret this motion, is that we would be providing a staff report. The staff report would identify the background, the current situation, and under this current motion, options for council to consider.
And it does seem, I think our experience on Rob showed how we can have no parking and provide offsets. And I really liked what they did on Rob in that they actually looked at a time when people were actually socialising and saw what areas were most in demand. But I hear what you're saying too. A lot of it will be prescribed by safety and keeping people away from the corners and visibility. And it may be a combination, a little piece on one side and further down on the other side. And there are options. And just to make sure that we are actually keeping the road to standard, because I do understand from Richard that the road was designed to be no parking and was prescribed as no parking, and no parking signs were up there at one time. So, as you pointed out, for liability reasons, we want to make sure that we are staying within our standards and accomplishing this end, because there's nothing more irritating than having to walk 2 or 3 blocks to your home, and we have so much space apparently here, so I think we should be able to work in a bit of parking there.
Okay, so heard from staff that there would be a staff report, notwithstanding what Councillor Arnott's intentions are perhaps, but I think probably that would have to come back to council. So, Councillor Grant.
Thank you. I have an opportunity to chat with some of the people down there because I talked to them when first I came on council, so going back. But these are some of the hands-on kind of concerns that they had. First of all, apparently for 14 years there were no problems down there as far as parking was concerned, and it wasn't until a big tow truck decided to use the street for parking that this became a bigger issue. So that was one of the points that was repeated a couple of times. Another one was, of course, and I'm sure you did this, Councillor Arnott, drive down the back alley. I don't know if you call them alleys anymore, but that road at the back, it is very narrow. We went down there today with our truck, and of course, because there's a limited and restricted parking access on the street, more people are trying to park back there. There was a big trailer back there, there was a big truck back there, and I wasn't sure that we were going to make it. So in talking to the people, they said, oh my goodness, if you think that is fun, you should wait until the garbage truck tries to get down there, because of course they run into that problem too with all of that extra parking. So that was a point. So the suggestion that came from them was that parking be allowed in front of the houses 1202 to 1238 Beckton Drive. That was their recommendation. And also, they thought that if there could be some restriction, or perhaps even better still, no parking for commercial vehicles on residential streets, then that wouldn't be a repeat of the problem that
already
existed.
is in place.
Is it? So it just
This is a
wasn't.
question for you.
Oh, okay.
People have to make complaints in the bylaws.
Okay, fair enough. Good. Okay. That's it. Thanks.
Anything else, Councillor?
Yes, just I appreciate that we're hearing some citizens' concerns, and that's important. It also is a bit of a catch-22 situation. So I'm looking forward to the staff report and the history behind the decision there, because it does, and although we want to open the door for neighbors to come forward with concerns, is that I'm sure we don't want to get into the practice of having different sets of parking rules for every different street and neighborhoods. And there needs to be, I'm sure there's some consistency from staff that wants to be maintained as well. So looking forward to having this resolved.
Thank you. So, Councillor Arnott.
Yeah, just one final comment. Councillor Grant, exactly right from the way I heard it as well, that there was a commercial vehicle, somebody got upset, there was some complaints. And it didn't seem to be that there was any kind of discussion in the community. It's just they woke up one morning and there was no parking on both sides of the street. And I think we need to do a better job in communicating with our neighborhoods when we're going to impose these kinds of changes, because in a neighborhood like that, that's a big change. The communication piece is big too, so thank you.
See you.
Just in staff's defense here, this was not, I recognize it can be received as a new or a change in enforcement, but what the report will point out is that area, that subdivision was designed, built to a standard to not allow parking on that street. The signs over time somehow disappeared. when the development, didn't occur as quickly as the developer would have anticipated. So staff put the signs back in place that should have been there all along. And that, I recognize, is received as a change, and is now what we're having to resolve and what we're working towards. But it wasn't something that was just unilaterally decided that we should make this whole area.
All right, yeah, there's certainly unique attributes of that subdivision that we'll hear more about in the staff report. So in terms of this motion, assuming it passes, when do you expect to get that report?
With any luck, we might be able to get it to the committee the whole next week. I'll know more tomorrow if we can meet that time.
Okay. All right, so any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Correspondence, we have a letter from the Airport Commission regarding reappointments of one of their directors.
Move that.
They're just looking for comments, are they? Yeah, they do their own reappointments. So
Yeah.
so we just receive it and
Concurrence.
Yeah.
concurrence, okay?
I move concurrence.
Move concurrence, thank you. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, and then the second item is a letter from the Canadian Cancer Society regarding the Tobacco and Vapor Product Control Act. So
Receive that.
received that, all those in favor? Motion's carried. And it seems to me there was some recent announcements in that regard from the province. We don't actually regulate within the town, as a town anyway, smoking bylaws. We rely on the provincial standards. We determined that a number of years ago. We just follow whatever the province does. So we weren't anticipating having anything to do with regulation other than what the province does. And of course, it's the health officers that would enforce that. I don't know if there's anything else. Anything else you need to do with that?
I don't believe so.
All right, we'll leave it as received. No late items or delegations to be so reports from members of council. We'll start with Councillor Swift.
Okay, I've had a really quiet couple of weeks. Councillor Arnott attended the Filbert meeting in my absence, but I did attend the blessing ceremony at Baker, and it was lovely.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Arnott.
Well, in Maureen's absence, I attended the Filbert. Yeah, it was good. And we discussed another successful event at the Filbert Festival. Today, I attended the grand opening of the Salvation Army's community trailer. So with events that they need to have, for example, when a young boy was missing there a month or so ago, the Salvation Army brought this trailer in and they provide meals for the rescue workers, and it's a great addition to them. And as well, I did pass on some communications about my position at the Salvation Army, so no problem. I'd like to continue that.
So yeah, we'll have to bring that forward to a council meeting in 2 weeks' time, I assume.
Yeah. And that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Rett.
Well, I tried to attend the ceremony in Baybrook, but somebody sent me the wrong time, or I read it wrong or something. Anyway, I showed up just as they were wrapping up, so I missed it. I also attended the regional district meeting last week, and it was one of the fastest meetings that I can remember, so there wasn't really much to report on. And I also met with the new owners of the mall who were very anxious to get started and looking forward to getting their development permit through. So, and I asked them, when you get the development permit, how long till you start? He goes, what time's your meeting? Because we'll be ready to go right after. So they're keen to get going and get some things happening. So I understand that's coming up later this month. So hopefully we can start seeing some changes for our downtown happening. It'd be great.
Okay, Councillor Rett.
I also attended the Blessings of Abraham, and it was a very meaningful and moving experience. I really enjoyed it. Andy Everson, who was, of course, the key dancer, is that what you call it? I'm not sure of the terminology, but also joining him for part of it was his son and brother, and it was very, very special. I really enjoyed it. Also, I was acting mayor for the month of August, and in the month of August, I'm allowed then to go to the Comox Valley exhibition. And it was good. Of course, it always is. 142 years in the going of it, and it was excellent. Yes. And they had a musical ride. Yes, military musical ride. Oh, they were every bit as good as the one that we recognize nationally. It was good. That's all. Thank you.
Councilor McKenna.
Yes, I volunteered along with Councillor Arnott at the Yana bike ride at Marina
Oh,
Park
yeah.
here.
I did that too.
It's nice to see Marina Park used for such a positive community event. There's just a great number of people. It was a big success. Also participated in the America's Masters Games in Vancouver along with many other Comox Valley athletes. Very inspirational to see people up to 100 years of age competing, and quite an inspiration to see those seniors along with this senior trying to pretend we're in our 20s again. I was, on August 31st, I went to the North Island College International Student Orientation Barbecue and was able to welcome the new students to our community, and finally attended a couple of Homeless Coalition meetings, one today at the Courtney Library.
All right. Councilor Price.
And I also went to the Babe Blessing ceremony, and I really look forward to seeing the finished effect down there. The plan looks great, and I understand you were told there would be a bigger ceremony once the project is completed. I was part of an AVICC teleconference via the Island Corridor Foundation report, which we'll be having a meeting on Monday. I don't know if you're going to that picture. Oh no, it's the RDCA. I attended a UBCM teleconference, and I also met, and you mentioned that you and I met with Karen about her. She's been looking at accessibility within our town and has produced a map and suggestions of how we can make the town more handicapped accessible, disabled accessible. And we had a meeting with Richard, Mark to discuss the findings and the next steps. I attended the AVICC Solid Waste Subcommittee meeting, and which is basically looking at how all the regional districts within AVICC can work together, and now we're at the point where staff are getting together to look at some communal projects. I think that's a good step forward. I attended the RD board meeting, and it was very fast and basically ratified what was at the committee as a whole that we reported last time. And as chair of the Sewage Commission, I met with a new representative from the base, Major Mark Fugalen. Mark Hutton was there too, just to give him a background on the projects that we have in the pipeline. And yes, it's quite interesting too, because we also have the relationship with the base for projects that they're doing, so there's sort of 2 points of coordination. But he seems a very nice man.
Is he the same guy doing the drainage piece for the
Yeah.
road thing? Is he the same guy?
Yes, it will be, yes.
He took over for Trevor Finn.
Yeah,
I
he's taken
didn't
over.
realize.
And Queen's Ditch.
Queen's
The
yeah.
Queen's Ditch thing.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
We had a bit of a chat about Queen's Ditch. Seems fresh and ready to go.
All right, great, thanks. My report starts back in August. I went to Vancouver for the climate leadership announcement. As you may recall, I served on that committee, so I attended the announcement, and that got a lot of press, and that sets out some goals and objectives. More to follow for local governments around things like building code changes, and also some more work on updating the climate action charter. So we'll see where that goes. I'm sure there'll be some talk about it at UBCM. Participated in the Yana ride with 100K, and it was great to see so many riders. Sold out again, 600 riders, raising somewhere north of $50,000. So a great event and a good tune-up for my ride to Conquer Cancer, which I did on August 27, 28, and participated in that along with almost 1,700 other riders. And total funds raised for that was just over $7 million. So thank you for your support and the contributions that people made here locally. Between myself and the other rider, we raised probably close to $8,500. So it was a good experience, and I don't know if I'll do it again next year, but I'll certainly do it again someday. It's a lot of riding. The Pride Week celebrated here with a flag raising at the beginning of that week. I also attended the honorary colonel appointment ceremony for Doug Walker, who's replacing Dave Mellon, who had been honorary colonel for 7th Squadron for 6.5 years. Those appointments are usually only 3 years in length, but he managed to wangle a few extensions.
To longer term.
Yeah. So Doug Walker, who is one of the proprietors of Walker 24 Menswear and a former owner of the Courtney Mazda, will take over, and good to see him in that role. Attended a agri-food, seafood sector roundtable meeting hosted by Minister Norm Letnick and members of the seafood sector. This was a follow-up to the discussion that we had during the Shellfish Festival, so that was well received. It's good information on labor force challenges that the seafood sector has, along with the agriculture sector, the rest of the agriculture and agriculture sectors. I wasn't able to attend the blessing ceremony. We had an Island Coastal Trust board meeting that morning. We reviewed a few applications, and the main focus of that meeting was just preparing for EDCM, where members of the Island Coastal Economic Trust, which are mainly mayors from up and down the island here, will be armed with information to lobby provincial government ministers and MLAs to see if we can't get that fund topped up. That's going to be some focus as well for, I think, the upcoming finance subcommittee discussions that go around the province in the fall. Attended an art gallery opening at Mud Sharks Coffee in Courtney for the John Howard mentoring program called KidStart. And this past weekend was one of a number of players locally, plus a lot of out-of-town players that played in the inaugural Comox Draft Hockey Tournament, which is an organization of Alberta that runs tournaments all across North America now. And they brought their tournament here, largely through the work of local players and also with some funding from the Destination Marketing organization. We had over 40 out-of-towners here who were from Alberta, Pacific Northwest area, and they had nothing but good things to say about the tournament, as well as the hosting facilities at Crown Isle and at other dining establishments. It was a lot of fun. We made it to the finals. We lost in the finals, but it was appropriate because it was Team Canada versus Team Russia, and I was on Team Russia. My son who played was on Team Canada, and he was kind enough to not dump me in front of the net, but he and the rest of the Team Canada rallied for a great thrilling win in the third period, as Team Canada usually does. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll see that tournament come back here again next year, bigger and better. So that's my report. Any questions from the media?
I have one quick
Yes.
clarification. In terms of the parking issue in the subdivision, in reference to Councilor Arnott's motion,
Yes.
the CAO mentioned that the subdivision in question was not intended for on-street parking, or on-street parking was not intended. And I just wondering if I get clarification. Is that the norm for new subdivisions, or is it done by case by case?
That was a specially designed subdivision in the northwest part of, northeast part of Comox as part of the Becton subdivision. I think the plan of the day was Rob Buchan, and there was an idea of having smaller lots and with laneway access to the back and restricting the amount of on-street parking in front of just a few streets in that area. And so over time, I guess it's evolved to more of a traditional subdivision in terms of usage. So that's something we'll have to look at.
That will be all included in the report.
You should note as well, one of my teammates on Team Russia was Andrew the Rock Dog Davis. Played on Don's son and played on his line, and we both helped set each other up for goals. So we got on the score sheet, so it was pretty, and it wasn't in our own net, which would be fun. So any other media questions? All right. We have a member of the public here. You may have a question.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for mentioning my son. Don Davis from Comox, as you know. I guess if I had to have a question, did you have a nice summer? But
Yes.
I would like to thank the media. I read with interest the article in the media on the governance review.
Yes.
So my question would be, did you give any consideration how that will be approached, or is it going to be coming up at committee of the whole, or how does the process unfold from here?
Thank you. The question, we had a presentation from the Chamber of Commerce, and they presented the results of their petition to date. And I do believe that we'll be receiving that, a staff report on that in the very near future. Any idea when?
We're targeting next committee of the whole.
Yeah.
Thank you, Worship. I look forward to that. And also, I would have expected, not expected, but I had hoped that an official delegation from the Legion might have been here.
Oh.
As a member, a long time, excuse me, as a long time member of the Legion and community member, I'd like to thank council for their consideration for that tax exemption. It goes a long way to help keep the Legion in business.
Thank you. All right. No further questions. So we do have an in-camera meeting tonight, so a motion to exclude the public on this, section 97C of the Canadian Charter. All in favor? Motion's passed, so we'll adjourn briefly while the room clears.